My name is Meryem, and today we are here in the Sancar Turkish Cultural and Community Center. I have the pleasure of interviewing Dr. Gwen Sancar, who is the Chief of Operations and the co-founder of the Aziz and Gwen Sancar Foundation. Thank you so much for being here today.
It's my pleasure.
So tell us a little bit more about how you came up with the idea for the foundation as well as the cultural center.
Okay, so the foundation we formed in 2007 or 2008, and that actually came from stories that my husband Aziz had told me over the years about his experiences in Istanbul, that in Turkey, each province, if you will, had a house for students who were in Istanbul going to university, and it was to help them transition, particularly those that were from students who were from the less developed provinces. And so we had the idea to try to do something in a similar way for Turkish students who were coming to the United States to study. And so in 2008, we founded the Turkevi up the street from here, actually, about 7 or 8 blocks from here. And we had a small house with 5 bedrooms in it, and the living room was our cultural center. And we always wanted to expand it, so when Aziz won the Nobel Prize, we thought, well, this will be an opportunity to use that prize money as a seed money to start a campaign to raise more funds so that we could build a cultural center that would basically be our gift to the town of Chapel Hill, and hopefully would allow more students to come to this area, Chapel Hill, Durham, and even State, and help their transition here.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful to hear, and what a great opportunity. I understand that this center in particular is relatively new, and that most of the construction happened over the course of the COVID-19 pandemic. And so I'm wondering, sort of, how did that pandemic affect the sort of goals for the center? And now that things are starting to open up, what are some of the events that you're looking forward to hosting?
Yes, sure. So we actually moved into this facility in late December of 2020. And as far as the actual construction process goes, there was a slowing because materials were harder to get hold of. Right. We only lost 1 day because somebody on site had to be tested for COVID. So we were very good, and our construction company was very good in keeping track of people about that. The first almost year, since we were well into COVID by then, we really didn't make any effort to hold any events here at all. We decided everybody wanted to quarantine, including us. So it was a good time for us to set up here, get things moved around, and also, you know, start to plan. So it was really only, I would say, the end of mid 2021 or so, June, I believe, when we had our first event, which happened to be a wedding, a Turkish wedding and reception. So that was a lot of fun, and it was one of the things that we had planned on doing here. We also then started having cooking classes here, both Turkish cooking classes, and vegan cooking classes. And more recently, now that people are beginning to go out again and attend functions, we've started having art shows. In fact, when we first officially opened the center, we opened it with a photography exhibit made by a Turkish photographer and a American professor who was interested in Turkey. It was called Streetwise Istanbul, and it was pictures of the people of Istanbul accompanied by interviews from their story from interviews that they did with them. And since then, we've had celebrations of specific Turkish holidays, such as Republic Day. We've also started having more exhibitions of art here. And so we are slowly beginning these sorts of activities as people are becoming more willing to move out and to take part in these activities. In the future, very near future, we hope to begin Turkish classes for children here. And we are also getting more involved with I would say, non-Turkish events in the community, because we feel this is a way to bring people into the house, introduce them to Turkey and to this center, and basically teach them. You know, Aziz and I are both teachers, so we're here also to teach them about Turkey.
That's wonderful. I am also wondering, is sort of your main target audience students, since there are a lot of students in the area, or young professionals, or families, kind of a mix of everything?
All of the above.
All of the above.
So students we definitely want here because they're the future, but also they're the ones most often that need assistance in transitioning if they've never been to the United States before or never studied here. And older students are too, we welcome here, as well as families and also younger students.
So is the center collaborating with any local, nationwide, global partners? And if not, are there visions for that happening in the near future? So
right now we are collaborating with the Turkish-American Association, North Carolina Turkish-American Association. It's known as ATA-NC. This group was actually established about the time Research Triangle Park here was established, when there were a number of Turkish engineers and chemists who came to the area. And they have a long-going association with the Turkish people in the area. In fact, I think every one of our board members is also a member of ATA-NC. So we collaborate with them. For example, the Republic Day celebration was a collaboration with them, and we look forward to doing more collaborations with them. We don't have any collaborations that I can think of directly with other organizations at the moment, but we're always looking to make those connections. We are having groups from the university. For example, the University Women's Club is going to use our facility for an event. Yeah. That's wonderful to hear about those current and future collaborations. What is your advice for any others who are interested in opening similar cultural centers, and things you might suggest to help them get started? Yeah, I think probably the most important thing is everybody starts out thinking about, what do I need to build the facility, okay? And what you really need to think further than that about, what do I need to maintain the facility once it's started? And by that I mean to bring people in and money in to keep the facility going, because building the facility is relatively short-lived, and while it's expensive, in the long run, if you're going to be around for many years, it's not nearly as expensive as the continuing expenses. So that's one thing. And the other thing is to try to develop connections with the community. One of the things that I did when we were going in front of the town council to get approval for building this center was that I worked very hard to show how having this center would be an advantage to the entire community, not just to the Turkish community, and reached out to have a building built that was an asset to the community. This is a near net zero building, for example, and we have a stormwater system that is an example of I guess some of the most modern stormwater systems around here in terms of helping to prevent runoff and pollution. So those were things that we were adding to it to help show the community that we really intended not just to be, if you will, consumers of Chapel Hill, but to add to Chapel Hill. Absolutely, that makes a lot of sense, and we know that the community is very environmentally conscious. Right. And so, speaking of which, you mentioned some of the sustainability efforts, and I'm curious what other efforts the center has made to try to encourage continued sustainability. In addition to what I mentioned earlier, we have solar panels on our roofs. Cool. And geothermal wells under our parking lots. And so this also decreases our utilization of electricity from the grid. So it helps our bottom line, okay? But it also is an example of what, at least some of the things that people can do now to help their own bottom line. As you probably know, the North Carolina government and the electric companies now are helping people install solar panels on their own roofs. Absolutely. That's excellent to hear. Thank you. So of course this is the Turkish Community and Cultural Center, and what kinds of sort of motifs or elements structurally or otherwise
maybe were influenced from Turkey or from Turkey in this beautiful center.
It's interesting. Just earlier today I was looking at a photograph of Kütahya, okay, and the buildings there, and we had been aiming for something like those buildings or with the general lines of those buildings, but I hadn't appreciated how well we had done until I saw those. That these really look like a central Anatolian buildings on homes or whatever, on a larger scale, of course. So that was the beginning. We wanted to have something that on the outside looks very Turkish, and also to have some beautiful Iznik tiles on the outside. Most people who've been to Turkey know, and even some who haven't, know about Iznik tiles and their beauty. So we have that outside, and then inside, we have been extremely fortunate that we've had so much material donated to the center. For example, you've seen the front doors and the doors here to the Sancar Library.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, and these are made in the old Ottoman style, so they're absolutely, Turkish. You can't get much more Turkish than that. The furniture that's here, as I mentioned to you earlier, this is a reproduction of furniture from a caravanserai in Mardin, and so this is another way that we're trying to show people the beauty of Turkey. And also the stone here is from Mardin, okay, and this is Mardin stone and carved Mardin stone, which again was brought over here, donated actually, brought over here and installed here. Wow. In this particular library, virtually everything you see in here comes from Turkey. Wow. Except some of the books, but they're about Turkey. Yeah. Then for the rest of the facility, you have seen the marble floors that we have. Those came from Turkey. The stone countertops are from Turkey. All of our office furniture, yes, this is true. All of our office furniture comes from Turkey, and much of it was made specifically for us by builders in Turkey. We are very, very fortunate to have board members with good connections in Turkey, particularly for furniture and that sort of thing, who got these donated for us. Yeah, so people can walk in here and feel that what they are seeing really evokes Turkey, honestly, because it was made by Turks and donated by Turks.
That's fantastic, and I definitely can echo that. As soon as I came in and I saw the tiles, I felt at home, and it's impressive that you were able to maintain those connections and get those resources, especially during such a challenging time with a lot of supply chain issues. So truly, congratulations on such a feat. Could you speak about any salient participation outside of Chapel Hill as an organization, any salient collaboration?
Sure. There's one other individual, and this is the former Turkish Consul General in Florida, who basically has supported us since he came to our first Turkevi in roughly 2010 or so, and has been very interested in our progress, what we've been doing, etc.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gwen Sancar, for being here today with us. We are so pleased to be able to learn more about this beautiful center and look forward to attending future events and hope that the community will as well.
Yes, well, we welcome everybody who wants to come with a heart to learn more about Turkey.